Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Sapphire's Unscripted. Yet again, we are so grateful for all the support you give us. Thank you for subscribing. And if you haven't subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. We are going to be uploading so much rugby content this year and the year after, but just this year in general. So there's some massive test matches coming up in the near future. We are currently in the last bit of the Champions Cup. We are getting towards the end of the URC, and we are going to be covering it all on this podcast. So we really are grateful for everything that you guys are doing with us, subscribing, liking, commenting. We really appreciate it all. So yeah, just thank you so much, guys. But today we're going to cover we're going to give our predictions of the Champions Cup quarterfinals. Only one Sapphier team remaining, which is quite sad for us Sapphires, but hopefully they can do us proud. But Casual, how are you today? Doing good?
Good. Obviously, we're sitting here just as the two piece. No Brett today again. The guy's missing in action. Obviously, he's having the time of his life somewhere out here in Cape Town. Probably meet up with him somewhere during the week. But yeah, other than that, good. Still a tough pill to swallow, knowing I have to watch the Champions Cup, knowing the Stormers got so close last time. But I'm open about it. I don't care about the Bulls at all, except for in the Champions Cup, because obviously we're still new in this tournament, so I'll be backing the Bulls. We'll chat about their game in a second, but after last weekend's games, you just saw how good the Champions Cup is, and I'm expecting nothing less than an absolutely brilliant week of rugby once again. Weekend of rugby once again.
Yeah, well, first of all, yeah, I think Brett is probably maybe mourning the Stormers lost there in Cape Town. But yeah, he is a busy guy, and I'm sure he will be back very, very soon.
Well, yeah,
But
our weather's switched, so it's raining out here at the moment. You don't know if it's the weather or still our tears from the previous weekend. So Brett just maybe came to join the party.
Yeah, maybe. But we'll get into the games. So long. First up, we do have the Bordeaux Bagels versus Harlequins. Bordeaux Bagels being at home in this case. This has actually got potential to be quite the matchup. However, I just think Bordeaux are going under the radar at the moment. I think no one really gives them a shot to reach the semis or reach the final. But I'm looking at a team here that has the potential to possibly be the underdog or the dark horse in the last remaining 8 and going to go and try and win this whole thing. What are your thoughts on that?
I fully agree, and they might be underdogs for the final and to win it all, but they are definitely not underdogs to get to the semi-final playing up against Harlequins. I think they've been absolutely scintillating this season. I think Bordeaux has been the most impressive team in this whole tournament. Even though they lost to the Bulls, we have to remember they send a very much weakened side to Loftus Versfeld that game. Other than that, they've played some scintillating rugby. They looked good in the top 14 of what I've seen. I'm not too sure where they are on the log at the moment, but I'm pretty sure they're still up there. They've got their strong boys back. Harlequins didn't fill me with a lot of confidence in their performance against Glasgow. Obviously, they still deserve to win the game, in my opinion. They're still there. But I can't see Harlequins pulling any sort of upset in this game. I think this is Bordeaux will see this as this year. This is their year. I can't see any form of an upset. I think it might be a blowout victory, but also a high-scoring game, kind of like the same that we saw with Harlequins versus Glasgow. I can see a lot of running rugby, some exciting rugby. I'm really looking forward to seeing this game. I think we will see some excellent rugby in this one. But yeah, I can't see Harlequins getting over the line. I'm going Bordeaux to take it by 12 points. A pretty convincing victory, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, if we look at what Bordeaux did against Saracens just a week ago, it's quite scary to see how badly they destroyed Saracens. And we all thought, Saracens are this team that know what it takes to win playoff games. And Bordeaux just said, listen, we don't care. We have the talent and the ability to go out there and win this whole thing. So Bordeaux will be very hungry in this case. And I think Harlequins aren't that much better than Saracens, in my opinion. I think they have, there's a lot of potential there. But I just think
Saracens butchered Harlequins, remember? So
yeah. So it's just one of those things where, I feel like on the day, Harlequins are probably this season a better side than Saracens. Might have been an off day there, but I don't think that even matters. I just think Bordeaux are just that much better this season than most teams, and it comes as a shock because there's not massive names in Bordeaux. You know, there might be one or two, but there aren't like these massive superstars in Bordeaux. So yeah, I think it's going to be an exciting game. I think the Bordeaux Bagels will win this probably a bit more convincingly than 12. I'm actually going to go with 20 points just purely because they are at home. I think that they'll dominate the game in every kind of aspect. But you never know. I think Marcus Smith in a Harlequin shirt is just that much better than he is in an England shirt. He does have the odd good performance or a few good performances for England, but I just think in Harlequins he's just I don't know. It's almost like he turns into a different player. Do you think Marcus Smith could spark something going into this game?
Well, Marcus Smith kind of reminds me of the way that prime Elton Yankees was with the Lions. And I'm not saying this in a bad way. I know people will take it as a bad way, but you have to remember Elton Yankees was by far the best 10 in a South African jersey when he played for the from South Africa when he played for the Lions. The
Mm.
guy turned into a different breed of a player. Everything that he touched turned into gold. And that's kind of the same thing that I get from Marcus Smith. I think Marcus Smith is better internationally this far than the likes of Elton Yankees. But the issue with Harlequins for me at the moment, and obviously we haven't watched as much of Harlequins or Union Bordeaux as we have watched of the URC team. So we can only judge on what we've seen in this tournament or the one or two games that we've seen from the Prem. They don't fill me, the Harlequins doesn't fill me with confidence when it comes to their defensive work. We watched that team defend against Glasgow, and I saw way too many missed tackles. Even the likes of Andre Estragen, who's literally a brick wall, big guy, should be making tackles. Brett spoke to us and he said, listen, in the first 5 minutes, he's already missed 3 or 4 tackles, which was ridiculous. So I really think if Union Bordeaux get that ball out wide, they can cause some serious damage because that's kind of where I think Glasgow missed the plot a bit. There was a bunch of times that we thought we saw overlaps and then the ball never got out wide, where Bordeaux literally focuses on that, getting their wingers into play because obviously it's Damien Pinot and Bill Barry. So you can expect that ball to go out wide. So I just don't see any way that Harlequins really win this game unless they dominate the ball and they get Marcus Smith to produce some magic. But they got to keep the ball then.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, I think we both can agree Bordeaux will probably make this look a bit easier than most people would expect, just purely on how the season has gone. But then we move on to what I think is just it's a rematch of the final of last year. But we move on to the game of the quarterfinals, and that's Leinster versus La Rochelle. Obviously, Leinster being the home side. This has got the potential to be a very good clash. However, I don't. La Rochelle obviously are the defending champs, and obviously they beat a very good Stormers side, but also a Stormers side that I haven't been firing like they were last season and the season before. But this has the potential to be such a major clash. And look, as we all know, Leinster have won this tournament a couple of times. They've won the URC, back then known as the Pro 14 as well, a few times as well. And obviously being the massive team, the biggest team in Ireland, and Munster fans won't like hearing that. But let's be honest, Leinster are that side. But I don't know what's your head saying and how this game goes, because I don't think La Rochelle are the same side as the team that made that final, but at the same time they're a side that can be very ruthless and can cause upsets. Like most people thought they were going to lose the final, and many people thought Leinster would win, and La Rochelle came through and just said, "Listen, not a chance. This is our final to win." So, what are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, this could easily be one of those games that you see as La Rochelle could win this game because they have this voodoo over Leinster. They've got their number and stuff. But this is not the same La Rochelle team that there's been in the previous couple of seasons. I know what they did to the Stormers is the same as what they've done to Leinster as before, but I think Leinster, surely by now you've you've learned your lesson. Not to get complacent when you get the lead. Look at what Leinster did to them in the opening game of the Champions Cup. They took them to the cleaners. And I don't have La Rochelle winning this game at all, because you can't look into history too much. Like, I know I say rugby heritage a lot, but I think they broke rugby heritage by beating them already, right? That gives them the confidence to say, listen, we can do it again. It's at the Aviva again. And the thing is, like, yeah, they beat the Stormers at the end, but there is a massive caveat behind it, and this is not an excuse. This is part of the reasoning. You can't act like it's not a reason that the Stormers were playing them off the park in that first 50 minutes, 45 to 50 minutes. Play them off the park. Like, La Rochelle was nowhere to be found. And then we got all that injuries and the yellow card, and then they started getting back into the game. Now, I'm not taking anything away from La Rochelle, but I'm just putting that out there because you have to give it perspective. And that's what gave them that motivation. We had to play players where we've never played players before. We had substitutions that came on that went off injured again. Those guys had to come back onto the field. So you had your props playing 80 minutes of rugby. We couldn't, and still we dominated the scrum. I know we lost a couple of scrums, but overall we won the game at the scrum. Whereas you look at Leinster, look at what they did to the Bulls. Look how good they have been in the URC. Look at what they did to La Rochelle in the pool stages. I can't see Leinster losing this at all. I think the big game will be Leinster in the final competing against either Bordeaux or Toulouse. I think that is the final. I can't see La Rochelle doing it at all. And just as you also mentioned, the Stormers haven't been firing like they have done in the last 2 seasons, yet look at what the Stormers did to them at the start of that game. So, and that was just the Stormers. Now, imagine you gave Leinster those opportunities and stuff. You're not coming back from that. I know they've come back previously, but now that they've done it once or twice before, that you're not doing it a third time, because Leinster won't be as complacent as that. I see this as a statement victory for Leinster. Obviously, they didn't beat Leicester Tigers by that much, but I really don't see this La Rochelle team as that threatening at the moment. I'm going Leinster by a statement 14-point victory.
Yeah, I think I'm on the exact same page as you. And this is going to be, look, I know we have banter with Leinster. I know we have banter with the Irish. It's just how we do things, and we appreciate the banter coming back our way about our sides. I mean, that's how it goes. I mean, my side, the Bulls got absolutely dominated by Leinster, and this page was flooded with Irish fans and Leinster fans just rubbing it in, and that's completely fair, because we stand proud by our side and they stand proud by theirs. But this is just, I'm going to compliment Leinster here. They are such a well-drilled team that their system is so good. And some say, you know what, sometimes being too structured can be a downfall to a team, because, you know, it's so easy to study what they do. But I just think Leinster, now having Jacques Nienaber there, he will know how to get these players to perform when it really matters. And this is where I think this whole joke of the Irish choke when it matters will fall out of play. I just think these players, like you said, have learned their lesson. And look, I think La Rochelle aren't the same side. And I can also see Leinster putting up an absolutely dominant victory here. You say by 14. I'm going to also say again by 20 points. Purely because how good that Leinster side is, especially when they are playing in Ireland at the Aviva. They can turn into another beast as well. So that's all the respect I can really give. And I just think that they will be in the final, 100%. I can see that happening. I'm going to even root against, and we'll get to the prediction of the Bulls game next. But I just think Leinster are definitely the favourites going forward, with Toulouse and Bordeaux. And I think those are the 3 teams that, like you said, are real favourites to win this tournament. But yeah, like I said, they're just going to be too well structured. They know how to hit you when it really matters. When they have an opportunity, they will take it. So yeah, I'm going to say Leinster are going to win this one by 20 points. And I think it's just yet another comfortable win for Leinster. And all we can really say is fair play to that. So yeah, moving on to the next game. This is obviously one dear to my heart, and I'll give a little explanation why. So one of my best mates who's originally from the UK, he moved down to South Africa to do his schooling career here, and he's from Northampton. He's a Northampton Saints fan. I'm a Bulls fan, and we've always had the banter of watching the Springboks versus England. We've always had the banter of watching Liverpool versus United. Yeah, shame, that's a terrible, terrible team to support at the moment. But now we finally get to see Northampton Saints versus the Vodacom Bulls in the quarterfinal. Northampton Saints being at home. Now, look, I think there's been a lot of drama in the build-up for the Bulls going into this game. Jake White bringing up that that he doesn't know why South African rugby has done this whole travel system where half the team is traveling by themselves, and there's so many different flights, and but then South African rugby coming back and saying, listen, we did everything we can, and they provided facts on how they did do everything that they could. So, look, I'm not very confident going into this game as a Bulls fan. I just think there's too much distraction in the Bulls camp at the moment. And even so, I'm not going to even use that as an excuse. I think Northampton Saints are the best side in the Prem this season. And I think they're going to show that. And I don't think the Bulls travel very well, especially when it is to the UK. And before I get into my in-depth prediction, what are your thoughts on this game as a whole?
It's tough, right? Because I said I want to support the Bulls until Jake White just brought out the streaks that he did last year and the year before that. Like every other team goes through this as well. Like traveling, we can't use that as an excuse the whole time, right? So Jake likes bringing up an excuse before the game even started. I hate the fact that he does that. Like, what type of motivation does that give you guys? Just suck it up. Okay, you're playing in the biggest tournament in rugby, franchise rugby. You're playing in it. You're playing in the quarterfinal. Get your mind together. Yes, okay, you're not traveling together. I know it's not ideal, okay, but there's no need to bring it up to the press and stuff, okay? Those stuff are internal. Talk to South African rugby themselves, because now all that we brought it up on the pod now, talking about Jake White, talking about the travel again, as if we're going to use that as an excuse if the Bulls lose. Like, it's so annoying. Stop that bullshit. Okay, this is the tournament that we signed up to play. Be grateful that we are playing in this tournament, because I would much rather play in this tournament than not play in this tournament. So get on the flight, go play the quarterfinal, and try and upset the world, rather than talking about, well, yeah, we aren't flying together and stuff. Obviously, the Bulls didn't know if they're going to go through. Can't be booking flights and cancelling the flights, because if we saw what the amount came down to, 4 million rand on the flights. Like, that is a ridiculous amount of money. Like, what does he expect us to do? Okay. Otherwise, Northampton Saints, as you said, they've been by far the best team in the Prem. They absolutely dominated everything in front of them, in my opinion. Maybe not in terms of points, but they've played the best rugby. They've won their games. Munster looked up for it in that first half. They weathered the storm, blew them away in the second half. And now they have to play against the Bulls. I will be supporting the Bulls, but I'm not predicting the Bulls to win. I think this will be the end of the Bulls, just because Northampton have been so good this season, playing at home as well. Obviously, the Bulls have to travel as well, which doesn't work in their favor. And the Bulls doesn't have home games anyway going from here, so they can just as well stay in England. So I've got Saints to win it, not by too much. I've got Saints to win it by 8 points, because obviously the Bulls still have a lot of South African players. You can never write them off. I just think this is kind of the year where Saints gets knocked out by the champions. And I think that will be by the likes of Leinster.
Yeah, look, as much as I really want to say the Bulls are going to win, my heart fully doesn't believe that, and neither does my head. Just purely because I think Northampton are a better side. Look, I don't think they're a better side. I'll retract that. I think if this game was at Loftus,
Bulls
it would
win.
fill me with I genuinely think Bulls do win, but I think Bulls going to Northampton being a very, very good side. I think either way, both games, wherever it would have been good games to watch. But I just think Northampton will take this. I think it's and I don't know what it is with the Bulls. It's a mentality thing where the minute we travel, it's almost like, I don't know, like you said, Jake automatically starts making up these things about being or about not flying together and them only arriving on Wednesday. And look, like this is part of what we sign up for, and we have to acknowledge that. Like, there's nothing we can do about it. Like you said, yes, many people predicted us to beat Leon, but we cannot just book the flights because, like you said, if Leon somehow did win that game, then we have to cancel and pay cancellation fees. And look, it's not a look. I'm really worried about this game. I don't think that the Bulls are even going to come close to winning, and that really breaks my heart to say. I think Northampton will win this game by 15, maybe possibly more, and that's purely because I just think on the day there's too much distraction on the Bull side. I think in the UK, in England, the Bulls are not a good side that travels, and at the same time, giving all the credit to Northampton as well, that they are the best side in the Prem, and they are going to go out there and probably dominate from minute one. I think the Bulls can get a bit of physical dominance here and there, but that's another question we have to wait and see to see if it gets answered by the Bulls. So yeah, my final prediction will be Northampton by 15. And your final prediction?
Saints by 8.
Okay, fair. Okay, so moving on to then, I think this is going to be probably the most dominant game by Toulouse we are probably going to see in a while. But Toulouse go up against Exeter, Toulouse being at home. I genuinely, I'm so worried for Exeter. I don't know about you. What are your thoughts on this game?
I mean, Exeter had to make a comeback victory against Bath, and I don't really rate Bath. I know they're a decent team, but I don't think they something special really. I have been rating Exeter, but I do think this is the end of the line. You're going up against Toulouse, who's arguably one of the two favourites in the tournament. They just literally picked up Racing 92, moved them aside, and moved past without getting out of second gear. They were absolutely brilliant. Of course, you've got a fired up Intermark who's finally back after being injured even before the World Cup, missed everything. Now he's coming back in the biggest tournament of club rugby. So he knows how to do it. Exeter not really firing, as Brett has mentioned before. They looked so average against a shocking Sale team. Sale have been so up and down, and look at what they did to Exeter. So I have no confidence in Exeter actually winning this game. I think they might pull it a bit closer than we all expect them to. I'm not thinking this is going to be like a 30 to 40 point blowout victory. Not even like 25. I'm going with Toulouse to win this game by about 20 points, but not because Toulouse can't put them away, just because Exeter, I feel they could be stubborn in this game and just have it, kick a couple of penalties, keep it close in the first half, and then finally just capitulate. Kind of the same way the Saints versus Munster game went.
Yeah, you know what? I just think Antoine Dupont is probably going to take his knife and just stick it in and twist. I just think he is so ruthless. He is the type of guy that does not care if you are on the back foot and you're about to slip off a mountain. He will take his foot and he will stamp on your fingers to make sure you do fall off that mountain. And I just think having him in that team, the pace he dictates the game at, and he's just such a good. I mean, well, he's the best player in the world, for goodness sake. And look, I remember clearly when the Box played against France in the Rugby World Cup quarterfinal. As much as we all are like, oh, we'll take Dupont, we'll take him, I was still shit scared of the Oak. I mean, the guy is on another level. So, just like I said in the last prediction video, I mean, you could put him on the field alone and you'll probably win this game again. Just pure. But then again, you look at the talent all around that Toulouse squad as well. It's just on another level, and I'm scared for Exeter. I do think 20 is a fair prediction, but I'm going to increase that by 10. I think it's going to be by 30, just purely because I don't see Exeter putting up a fight. Like you said, they could be stubborn, and that could be their best way to approach this game, is to be stubborn in the way they do things. But yeah, I think Toulouse will be way too much. But yeah, ladies and gents, Well, Casual, first of all, do you want to add anything else going forward into this quarter final round that we're going through?
No, not really. We can wrap it up. I think everything has been covered. I wouldn't say it's a predictable weekend, but it feels predictable. But yet,
Mm.
I wouldn't be be surprised if we somehow see an upset or two. When it comes to knockout games, teams just go into a different mentality.
Yeah, I mean, if we look at the Bulls, I'll never forget the time they beat Leinster in the semi-final in the URC away, obviously, and that was massive for the Bulls at the time. It set up a huge South African derby as the final, but those moments only come once in a blue moon, and I just don't think that blue moon has come yet. So yeah, I think it's just at the end of the day, I do believe it is a predictable weekend of rugby just purely because I think, and it's actually quite sad to say that because I think there's such a big gap in certain teams here in a sense. But
But that doesn't
going
take away
for,
that I still feel we'll see some proper rugby from
oh, absolutely, yeah.
like I still think we'll see some brilliant rugby from La Rochelle in certain points where they'll look like the old La Rochelle. The Bulls will certainly not just lay down from the start against the Saints.
Mm,
They'll still
mm.
try their best. Like still got that individual magic. So even though it's predictable, I'm still expecting a brilliant weekend of rugby.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, I think there's going to be great rugby in all games, whether it's dominant victories or not. There's going to be good rugby from both sides, and I'm sure of that. But ladies and gents, that does bring us to the end of this pod. Thank you so much again for all the love and support, and we really appreciate the feedback. We appreciate when you guys criticize us, give us constructive criticism, or just banter. We don't mind. But yeah, guys, thank you so much. Please remember to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. And just remember that we are going to be bringing so much more rugby content coming forward. Fun topics, like, test match reviews, obviously URC playoffs coming up soon, Champions Cup coming towards a close. But yeah, we will keep you guys updated with everything that we possibly can. But as of right now, that is us for now, and we'll see you guys in the next pod. So that is
It's a
us.
good one.
Cheers.
Bye.